So finally, I am back to modding and I'm really excited. This time around, we're actually going to be modifying the Leatherman Free Series tools, putting a whole bunch of implements from the Leatherman Free P4 into my P2, which is my preferred platform. First of all, let's talk about the tools. We're going to need at least 2 screwdrivers, and this time around I'm using a pair of ratcheting driver sets. The first one is the icon ratchet, which I've talked about recently, and this other one, I don't even know if it's still around, but if I can find a link, I will put it in the description. Also, we have a pair of titanium tweezers. These are probably my favorite ones that I use. Now, if you know where I can find this, please help me out, because I still can't find a link. And of course, the Knipex plier wrench and a vise. And this is a Diablo, well, replaceable sanding brick. I'm still trying it for the first time and seeing if it's something that I would invest in, because those are proprietary sanding blocks, but we'll see. Now, first off, let's talk about the construction of the Leatherman Free Series tools. One of the things that they did, which is sort of understated, and I probably should do a better job of, is that they got rid of the security torques like they had on the Wave series. These are actually standard T8 screws and T6 screws for the pocket clip. So that is actually quite nice, because you can tune this up with very easy to find tools. Now, if you've done any modifications like this and you're scratching your head as why I did it in this order, don't bother. I definitely did it in the wrong order. You're probably best off taking everything apart, then sanding it, then cleaning it first, and then reassembling. But because I was in a rush and I didn't really think this through very well, we're doing it in a weird order. But needless to say, I still wanted to improve the ergonomics of the tool a little bit better, so I went ahead and used the sanding block to fillet the edges on the Leatherman Free P2. Now, there are 2 items primarily that I'm looking to pull out of the Leatherman Free P4. One is the straight blade, the other one is the saw. Now, why would I choose the saw? Well, for me personally, I have very quick access to scissors all over. I have one in my hat, I have one in my belt, and sometimes even one in my wallet, so I don't need yet another pair of scissors. But saws are practically irreplaceable. It's not something that I can substitute for practically anything else. So that is a no-brainer for me, the saw in over the scissor. When making a video like this, it's very easy to divide your attention. So I'm trying to showcase the order of the tools as they come out, but I'm also trying to pay attention to what I'm doing, not lose any parts, and so on. So it's a very difficult thing to try to do this on video. And as you're going to see, I have to rearrange the items because I put the washers in places that they don't belong, and so on. But it's always a learning experience when you do this kind of thing. Also of note, if you look at the screwdrivers, what is actually ratcheting is the stationary side, even though I'm using a T-handled screwdriver on the other. This is something I've always liked to do, where I will manipulate a fixed screwdriver with my wrist, but leave the L-handled ratchet fixed. And for some reason, I have not had any stripped screws, knock on wood, since I've started doing that. It's also kind of a funny party trick because you can't figure out why the fixed side is ratcheting, but it's kind of fun. Now, something I completely missed when I did this is I should have taken out the locking tabs and actually rounded them so they would be much more comfortable to disengage, and so when you're holding it, you know, nothing bites into your hand. I probably will end up doing that some point in the future, but for now, we're just going to put everything back together. Someone needs to remind me to get some pressurized air or something along those lines. I've even seen one that's electric I've been wanting to check out. Please don't let me forget. Now here is where I realize I've done it completely wrong watching this again. Notice that the pivot actually started on the opposite side, the same side as the long implement. And because I put it on the wrong side, thinking to myself, oh, you know, this way I can easily swap out the blades. I don't know what I was trying to do. But either way, it was a pain in the butt to get this spring locked in properly. And all I can say is, don't do it this way. Do it the other way. And when you look at the other side, when we reassemble the other side of this tool, you'll see how much better it went because I changed where I put the pivot into. Now, a technique I use that is rarely shown is that I'm pushing up with my index finger on the pivot as I'm moving the implements around. And what that does is it forces the pivot to kind of find the hole in the washer and slide through. Once I feel and hear the clicking of it getting into the proper spot, then I can put in a screw and pull it the rest of the way through. You know, growing up, my dad had an ancient sanding block, and all you did is take some sandpaper and attach it, and then it worked great. And I think the block probably got passed on to someone else at some point. Seriously, they last forever. Don't buy anything proprietary like this. Get something that just works. Now, I should find, if I can, a sanding block that has a soft side so that I can actually make those curved edges a little bit easier. But yeah, standard sanding block, good sandpaper. That's what you should buy, for sure. You see just how much easier that was? Do it the right way. Do it this way. Don't do it the way I showed before, unless you want to have a major headache. So there are a lot of ways you can do this. My choice was to install a second thick flathead, which actually has been converted to a dedicated prying tool and package opener. I thought about a couple other different ways to do it, including leaving the can opener and flathead, the one that no one likes, and then making the flathead into a chisel, which I might do anyway, and then changing the can opener into a spoon gouge, which I might do anyway. But for now, this is why I'm going to try it for a little bit. one word that properly defines the modification we just did, and that is sloppy. It was very sloppy. Definitely did this in the wrong order. Should have taken my time, disassembled everything, did my filing, which the purpose of that was ergonomics, and then soaked it in WD-40, getting rid of all of the little, particles, and then assembled it. As it is, I can still fix this. I can basically soak the tools in WD-40, and basically just move them around. It'll get everything out. It'll work fine. Now, let's talk a little bit about the tool set and what I chose and why. So, in my opinion, with this setup, I don't feel like I am losing a single tool relative to the P4. And I know everyone's like, well, what about the scissor? Well, here's the thing. I keep a 58mm in my hat. There's a 58mm Victorinox in my Wazoo cash belt. And more often than not, if you can find it, I took it out for a different project. I even have one in my wallet from time to time. So, like this one. This is what I'm carrying as my wallet today. So I have a scissor right here in my custom 74mm. Either way you figure it, I have so many scissors, and the thing is this scissor is not offering anything better than what those can. The testing shows it's barely, if at all, better than the Victorinox scissors. So there's no point in having yet another scissor on my person. I love the size of the P2 relative to the P4. It's a whole ounce lighter. It feels thinner. I like the way it looks. And yeah, actually the filing did make a difference on the comfort, surprisingly. I probably would do even more in the future, but this works just fine. Also, if I were to do this again, you can see potentially how it's a little bit narrower at the back than it is up here. And that is because it probably needed one of these spacers to kind of compensate for the dimension. So what I would have done is put one of those spacers next to the spring on the inside here, and that would have improved it a little bit. Now, I might eventually do that, but it's working for me. Now, why did I remove the can opener and the medium flat? Well, the way I want to have this set up, and I haven't finished yet, is I would like to get rid of the package opener here, cut it all the way down so that it's a straight line all the way to around here, so that I can have a flathead that is very thick and sturdy that can still get into small places, along with the flathead of both the reamer awl and the file. They give me a good combination of dimensions, and I don't think you need another one. And then of course I have what was already a modified prying tool, and so having the prying tool with this edge kind of makes a little bit of sense. It's not a chisel, it's actually a prying tool. And so this is kind of my preferred setup. So there you go. That's my Leatherman free P2, fully modified with exactly the tool set I want. And I'm not exactly sure what I'll do with the P4 frame just yet. I'm definitely going to keep it, especially if there's going to be a future iteration like we've talked about in recent videos, where there's new tools to be had when it comes to this. And it looks like if they ever do make that internal scissor, the scissor that goes inside, that's probably what will replace this prying tool. And then I haven't literally not lost anything if I do that. So as it sits, this is pretty much as good as it's going to get for me in the foreseeable future when it comes to the free series. There are still great advantages, as I've said in the past. I like the free series. I wish it was a little bit cheaper for everyone to access, but this is my ideal tool set. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys again soon.